the best way to sort of understand how Uresta works is to understand what's going on in the body. So this is the type of leaks that happen when a woman coughs, sneezes, laughs, or jumps or runs. It's an activity that is going to put pressure on your bladder. We have muscles that keep our urethra, the tube that lets urine out of the bladder, closed, so that when you're jumping and you're doing those activities that put that sudden burst of pressure on your bladder, that urine stays in the bladder. Now, those muscles can become damaged, they can become weak. The biggest reason would be childbirth. It's also caused by hormonal fluctuations, so it's not just a mom issue. But basically, those muscles give out. You jump if they're not strong enough, and then you leak a little bit of urine. The way that Uresta works is it inserts vaginally and it sits just right under the urethra.
Welcome to All Things Menopausal. My name is Mary and I'm a menopause doula. As a doula, we augment the healthcare profession as menopause support practitioners.
I created this podcast, All Things Menopausal, to build community for women going through menopause transition and to foster resilience through the stories that connect, educate, and empower. These stories are real, raw, relatable, and they're very much relevant to the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual whole person that we are. In our midlife transition, we are not alone. Each week, you will hear from courageous, vulnerable, and knowledgeable guests, sharing their passion, their journey, and lived experience, while also offering us their expertise. These are little clues to finding solutions to our unique situation. The menopause symptoms are personal, but the experience is universal.
Welcome to episode 10. Yes, 10 episodes. So happy. And in today's episode, I'm even more happy because I had the fortunate opportunity to chat with an entrepreneurial trailblazer in the world of women's healthcare innovation. In this episode, you're going to learn more about the inspiration behind Lauren Barker's decision to get behind a revolutionary product to address urinary incontinence. Lauren is the CEO of Uresta. Uresta was founded by a world-renowned Canadian urogynecologist and Dalhousie University Professor Dr. Scott Farrell. Dr. Farrell recognized that the options for dealing with leaks were outdated, uncomfortable, and quite honestly, costly to the environment. So he saw this opportunity to create a non-invasive at-home solution without prescription drugs, medication, procedures, etc., etc. Lauren transitioned away from her career in financial investments to join a team headed by female entrepreneurs and soon found herself leading the company herself, a company that she entrusted in women's pelvic health. And it's a crucial one. It is estimated that the prevalence of urinary incontinence in women ages 20 to 60 years old is roughly 30 to 40%, and that 25 to 45% of women may experience urinary incontinence at some point in their lives. Fun times. And oh, by the way, in 2016, Uresta won Chatelain's 2016 Product of the Year Canada, awarded in the Adult Care Incontinence category. And in 2018, Today's Parent magazine reviewed Uresta and awarded the Today's Parent approved seal of quality, ease of use, and value. Get ready to be inspired and informed as we explore this story behind Uresta and the passion driving its success. Without further ado, let's dive into this insightful conversation with the driving force herself, Lauren Barker. Welcome, Lauren. I'm with the amazing Lauren Barker, and I say that only because I watch you on social media promoting this product that is probably transforming women's lives. And let's just dive in. Tell me all about your journey to find this company and what it is doing for women's health today.
Sure. Well, thank you, Mary, for having me, and I appreciate those kind words. So I'm the CEO of Uresta, which is what we believe is truly a modern day solution for bladder leakage, the type of leaks that women experience when they cough, laugh, sneeze, or jump. So of course, this is an issue that's very embarrassing. It's very common. It impacts 1 in 3 women, as many as 1 in 2 at time of menopause. And today is actually World Menopause Day.
Yes.
Yeah. So, it's something that is maybe not life-threatening, but definitely a quality of life issue for women. And unfortunately, a lot of women today are relying on things like probably pads, incontinence, kind of leak-proof underwear, and just straight up wearing what I like to say, black pants, right, to disguise their leaks. So Uresta is really an amazing solution because it actually stops the leaks from happening. A lot of our customers tell us that it's very freeing. It's a game changer. It gave them their life back because
Absolutely. Yeah.
by removing those leaks, right, they don't have to worry about odor. They don't have to worry about someone noticing. They feel comfortable, right? So it's truly a really amazing product, and there's nothing really like it on the market.
Entirely. In fact, I came across it just by doing some research about bladder leakage. I'm at the point now, I had a child in my mid-30s, and I'm in my mid-50s, in the throes of menopause. And bladder issues is one of my biggest beefs. And absolutely quality of life. You always have to be ready to pack the pads in the purse, have a stash in your drawer at work, wherever you might be, stick one in the back pocket of your jeans. But it's not surprising. It's alarming, but not surprising. 1 in 3 and now 1 in 2. I think that some of the listeners will find some relief in that, but it's still shock and awe that that's what we're up against.
Totally.
But the body changes as we age. We'll go into some specifics of how the device works, the sizes, how you know it's the right fit. But before we get there, I want to hear your journey. How did you find this company? How did this opportunity bring you up to the position of CEO? And congratulations, by the way, in 2021, you won an award for Woman of Distinction or Women of Inspiration.
Women of Influence, yes.
Women of Influence, beautiful. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to sort of tell my story. So I originally did not start in healthcare at all. I originally started my career in finance in Toronto. So I originally worked for a TD in investment banking. So, public companies, advising them on mergers and acquisitions. From there, I worked in private equity at a company called Torquest Partners. So we were making private investments in companies. And it was during that time that I met the founding physician of Uresta, Dr. Scott Farrell. He invented Uresta actually well over a decade ago. And he is a urogynecologist in Halifax. So he was actually doing surgery to repair women's pelvic floor, to address like pelvic organ prolapse and to address stress incontinence. Mm-hmm. The product was amazing, but he had really struggled to get the product, to get the awareness that he was looking for, and to get the sales traction. And ultimately he was really struggling with it. And as I said, at the time, I was working for an investment firm. And while Uresta was not an investment opportunity for the firm that I was working at, I was so intrigued by the product. I was so intrigued about, one, how common the issue of stress incontinence is, and how limited the solutions were. Like, I just couldn't believe at the time, it was probably 2018, when I first learned about it, I just couldn't believe that the mainstream solution was pads. And you just look at the menstrual market, for example, we saw pads, and then we saw tampons, and now we see menstrual cups, right? So I just couldn't wrap my head around the idea of being a woman in her 30s, using a menstrual cup, having a baby, having bladder leakage, and then being told that the most common solution is pads. I was blown away by that. And so what happened was, for the next 2 years, I sort of stayed in touch with Dr. Farrell and started to sort of help him on the side. I would say became a bit of a passion project. I always wanted to do something entrepreneurial, and I also really always liked the idea of helping women. And I think it was just like the perfect opportunity and like the perfect storm of the right time, right place. And initially I joined Uresta as the chief financial officer, as the CFO. But within kind of 2 months of being there, at that point, I had an idea of where the company needed to be. Probably one of the biggest pivots that we did with Uresta under my leadership and moving from CFO to CEO, we were trying to sell directly to physicians, which we still do a fair bit, but now we go direct to consumer because it is a product that is sold over the counter. And a lot of women today are embarrassed to bring it up with their doctor, or they're looking for solutions already online, or they're already managing it with like over the counter options. So that's how I landed myself here. And it'll be 3 years and actually a couple of weeks. So yeah, it's been a really exciting time.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
And hats off to Dr. Scott Farrell for having the insightfulness to look at this, a man looking at a woman's problem, although that was the field as a gynecologist he was in, but looking at this problem and realizing that there has to be a better way, a better solution. And just the cost to the economy and to the environment with all that pad wastage, if we could just stop the leakage with a device. So, which is a beautiful segue into tell us how this device works. We, the listeners won't see one, but they'll go to your website for sure. It looks like a giant cork with, well, I almost say it looks akin to a giant baby's sapphire.
Yes, that's probably the number one thing we get told. We get told some other things, but I won't go there. I'm sure you can probably imagine. Yeah. The best way to sort of understand how Uresta works is actually to understand what's going on in the body. So this is the type of leaks that happen when a woman coughs, sneezes, laughs, or jumps or runs. It's an activity that is going to put pressure on your bladder. We have muscles that keep our urethra, the tube that lets urine out of the bladder, close, so that when you're jumping and you're doing those activities that put that sudden burst of pressure on your bladder, that urine stays in the bladder. Now, those muscles can become damaged, they can become weak. The biggest reason would be like childbirth. It's also caused by hormonal fluctuations, so it's not just a mom issue, but basically those muscles give out. You jump if they're not strong enough, and then you leak a little bit of urine. The way that Uresta works is it inserts vaginally and it sits just right under the urethra. And through that, it sort of kind of braces the urethra. So when you're jumping or you're running or you're coughing, it kind of keeps your urethra closed and in place. We call it a bladder support product because it is supporting your bladder. And I always say to women, it's kind of like, you wear a sports bra when you go for a run. If you sprained your ankle, you'd wear an ankle brace. Like it's a support tool. While at the same time, it's supporting your bladder and your urethra and preventing those pesky leaks. It won't prevent you from going to the washroom normally. So this is a product that is made of medical grade resin. It can be left in the body all day, and you don't need to take it out to pee. It just is there for those pesky moments.
It can stay in for as long as the entire day.
Exactly. Yes, because of what it is made of. I think a lot of women think of like toxic shock syndrome and in tampons. It's not absorbing bacteria, so it doesn't carry that same toxic shock risk.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we're going to get descriptive here, but of course, when we insert a tampon, it has the strings so we can retrieve it. This product does not, though. No. So I can speak from personal experience because I have bought the starter pack where you get the 3 sizes. And it's true, we read through the instructions very closely because I thought, oh my gosh, can it get inserted and embedded and not come out? But amazingly, using the muscles of the pelvic floor, like our good old fashioned Kegels, is enough to get it out. And pushing in that area is very natural for women. So I was very happy to see how easy and effective it came out. But I found inserting it was a little bit problematic.
Oh, interesting.
Well, this is one of the interesting things that I had to research is that if you feel that discomfort, to use a little bit of a lubricant.
Yeah, for sure. And so it just I would say we do have some women who for sure have discomfort and a little bit of lubricant. We actually sell our own lubricant now. So we definitely recommend that. And definitely for women that are in menopause, have vaginal dryness, like sometimes they need to go and see their gynecologist, get prescribed for an estrogen cream. We're also seeing like a lot of women now start to use like hyaluronic acid for a vaginal moisturizer, which you can now get over the counter without a prescription. But yes, absolutely. A little bit of discomfort, but usually once it's in place, women say it's out of sight and really out of mind. And I will say a lot of women are initially concerned about removing. I think if you've ever used a menstrual cup, and I know a lot of women haven't, it is, I would say for the women in their 30s and 40s that use a menstrual cup, they get it immediately. But exactly, it takes a little bit of getting used to and getting in the right position and kind of understanding how to relax your pelvic floor. We actually have recently, within the last month, we started a private Facebook group of customers, and everyone, have you been in it?
I've joined. Yes.
Oh,
I
okay.
want to hear the testimonials, which we'll speak to shortly, but that's
I
wonderful.
love it. So, and it's great because women will be like, oh, have you tried this? And like, we're even learning at Uresta, right? We'll hear things that women have done. And we're like, that's such great advice or a great way to explain, how to remove it. So that's a really great resource.
Speaking about testimonials, that is one of your effective marketing techniques. And I love that because you're hearing it right from the customers, and stories sell. Stories are, word of mouth marketing. So tell us about some of those testimonials and why is that so important and key to pivot Uresta as a product on the market that is very valuable and of course safe for women.
When I first started trying to get video testimonials, part of it was like, it's such a common issue, but it's very embarrassing. So it's really hard. It's really hard sometimes to get women to talk about it, right? Even amongst friends, right? So to get someone to publicly put their face on a video and allow us to put it on social I'm always so thankful when I find those women willing to do it. But it's so powerful. I mean, I got a message last week from a woman who said, I'm not usually one to buy something off Instagram, but one of your testimonials spoke to me. This woman spoke to me. I related to her. And I think women really relate with each other.
Yes.
And it's super powerful. And that specific woman, her name's Susan, she had put together a video for us. And the email I got from this customer, she was specifically talking about that video from Susan. And I sent it to Susan and I was like, this is the impact, like you were brave to put yourself out there. This is the impact. And this woman was like telling me how much Uresta has changed her life, right? So it's super important for destigmatizing the condition and just showing the emotional benefits, right?
Absolutely. It's so true. It can be literally robbing women of their quality of life to go out in social settings, giving up certain activities. I gave up running, but now I'm starting to brave it once again. Still playing with the sizes, and we'll speak to that starter kit sizes. Okay. But I no longer fear that, oh my gosh, I am going to be a couple of miles down the road, or if it's a long run, or might just be out doing something else that doesn't involve running, cycling, walking the dogs, sneezing. And I am completely without any resources at my disposal to deal with it. I have caught myself cussing on the middle of a dog walk because I may have coughed or one of them got away on the leash and I had to run after them. Right. And then suddenly there I am with leaky panties, completely uncomfortable.
Totally unprepared. Yeah.
Totally unprepared. So it is an absolute game changer. Those testimonials make a big difference. Because changing lives. And I'm glad that you said also when we started that today is being World Menopause Awareness Day. And I don't know if you caught it, but the Menopause Foundation Canada just came out with their report, Menopause in the Workplace, and the shocking statistics about how much it's costing the Canadian economy and lost time for women needing time away from work, not able to come into work. And there's a whole host of reasons, but I'm pretty certain that the pelvic floor, the stress incontinence is right up there with many of those reasons.
I mean, I've spoken to women who are not like it impacts their work. It does. It impacts their confidence. And there's women that have to do manual labor at times at work. There's women who are traveling. I've heard stories of women being like, I was traveling for work and I was late to catch my connection in an airplane, and I ran and then I peed my pants and I sat the whole flight in my pants wet. Like, for absolutely. And I saw the same report. It is quite shocking.
In terms of the product and trying to figure out how it works, what size is best, tell our listeners all about how the sizing works and why the starter pack is valuable in the starter pack to have more than one size.
Yes.
Try.
So Uresta comes actually in 5 sizes. Our starter kit includes 3. So these 3 sizes are the most common. And actually we're seeing now those 3 sizes will work for 90% of women. We do have the 2 sizes that are not included would be our smallest and our largest. So if you've tried all the sizes in the kit and you need to try one of those additional sizes, we just send it to you for free. So if you're new to Uresta, you're purchasing that starter kit, which retails for $139 Canadian, and we will help you try those additional sizes at no extra cost. Basically, what you are looking for when you're trying to find the right size is you're looking kind of for 4 things. You're of course looking for your leaks to stop when it's inserted or to meaningfully be reduced. It should be comfortable once in place. There could be a little bit of pressure or discomfort as you're inserting, but once in place, you really shouldn't feel it. The third would be you're still able to urinate, right? So it shouldn't be applying so much support or pressure that you still can't pee. And then the last one would be that it should be staying in place. So it shouldn't be falling out. So those are the 4 kind of main things to look for.
When I tried the lowest size to begin, actually, no, I think the kit recommends start right in the middle, size 4. And yeah. I noticed too that when I went to everything else was meeting the criteria, but when I did go to urinate, that little sucker wanted to come out. So I thought, oh, okay, maybe that means I have to go a size larger.
Right.
And not to fear women, because we're all big on the bigger the size, the worse it is, and we're this fixation with sizes. But the shape of the pelvic region, childbearing years or not, or whatever it's done as we age or not, the size doesn't make any difference. Just it's the fit.
It's funny how many women will be like, well, I'm a size 8 and this is how tall I am. And it's like, no, I appreciate it, but that's not how it works. It's really hard to figure out your size. The only thing we can say at a high level, women who are in their childbearing years, or if they've recently had a kid, would probably be on the larger size. And then as you get older, it's generally a smaller size. But that it's pretty general. And I would say it's very common to try more than one size and to kind of go about your activities and then be, okay, you know what, I'm going to try a different size tomorrow and see how I feel before you sort of land on the right one for you. And it's very common to need a different size over time. That can happen as well, both ways. I've seen women say it's helped them get stronger at the gym, and then they feel like their pelvic floor has gotten stronger and they don't need it anymore, or they need a smaller size. I've seen it both ways.
Interesting that you should say that about the gym, because one of the recommendations for ladies as they go through the menopause transition, perimenopause, peri to post, is to up their heavy resistance training, because we need that more weighted exercises to address bone density, which decreases, to address the skeletal system, and also it helps maintain muscle mass, because that depletes quite drastically as we hit into our menopausal years. However, the weight-bearing exercises tend to put a little bit more pressure on the pelvic floor, and women will start to, if they hadn't experienced incontinence or just a little bit, might start experiencing quite more significantly. So this product, the Uresta, would go hand in hand with, as we up our weights, we should really start thinking about that pelvic floor health more so than we hadn't before.
Totally. I know a lot of women who have never had children but are very much into weightlifting, and they will experience leaks when they work out and doing those, like doing a squat or lifting heavy weight.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of pelvic floor health, the product aside, does Uresta address pelvic floor health and what women can and should be doing, throughout their lives, no matter what stage they're at, in terms of keeping the strength of the pelvic wall?
So Uresta isn't meant to be a trainer of your pelvic floor. It's not meant to improve the issue. We have seen some women see improvement, but it's more that it's just allowed them to work out more efficiently. And there's a lot of data out there to suggest certain exercises are, if you're engaging your pelvic floor properly, can be even more effective than a Kegel, like full body exercises. But Uresta won't make your incontinence worse. So one of the biggest questions we get, am I going to have to rely on this? Like someone once said, is it kind of like a sleeping pill? The more you use it, the more you need it. And that's really not the case. We do recommend pelvic floor physiotherapy. We're a huge supporter of it. We have actually a lot of pelvic floor physiotherapists in our network who often recommend Uresta for a number of reasons. It can be a great tool while someone's working on their pelvic floor with a physiotherapist. It's one of those things where you need to put time and effort in to see results. And so Uresta can be a great solution that you use while you're going through treatment. For some women, they can't get to a place where they're able to fully eliminate their leaks. I see that more often with exercise. They won't pee when they sneeze, but they're having a really hard time when they're working out or going for a run. So they might just use Uresta sometimes. And then there's some women who may not have access to a pelvic floor physio. So it really just depends. But both Uresta and pelvic floor physiotherapy is a great complement to each other.
Has there been any concern with the product using Uresta and having vaginal prolapse?
No concern in the sense of if you have it, it's going to make it worse. I would say we have a lot of women who are using Uresta to manage their prolapse that don't have incontinence, but it's generally mild cases.
Right.
So like a grade 1 prolapse, more advanced, it can be tricky for the product to stay in place.
Right.
So right now, it's something that we've only received feedback on anecdotally. So we've actually never done a clinical study when it comes to prolapse. We're actually hoping to do one with Uresta. All of our clinical studies to date have been on the treatment of stress urinary incontinence, but there's a number of women out there, and I know there's a number of women using it to manage prolapse, and I know there's a number of physicians that have recommended it as a prolapse management tool.
Excellent. Okay. So in terms of the product getting approval from FDA and Health Canada, has there been significant challenges or obstacles to overcome for the product to make it into onto the market and be recognized as something viable for the women's health industry?
Well, we're very lucky in the sense that we had a very well-known physician who invented our product. So Dr. Scott Farrell was actually the 3rd ever urogynecologist in Canada. And now there's 100 today. So he's trained a lot of the urogynecologists today and is quite well respected. And he used to teach at Dalhousie. He used to be the president of the SOGC. So we're lucky to have him. He had initially led the product through approvals with Health Canada and the FDA. One caveat is that today, so we're over the counter in Canada today, meaning you don't need a prescription. In the US, we're actually prescription based. So you cannot get Uresta in the US without a prescription, but we're in the process of applying to the FDA to change that. Since we initially went through that FDA process, which was years ago, versus today, there's actually a lot more products that are sort of similar that we can point to on the market, like menstrual cups.
Okay.
So we're hopefully optimistic. I definitely don't want to make any assumptions, but hopefully we'll be over the counter in the US in the near future. But I would say kind of over time, like we've had 4 clinical studies. We're now actually recommended or referenced in the SOGC, so the Society of Obstetrician and Gynecologists of Canada. They have a clinical care practice guideline that talks about the conservative management of stress urinary incontinence and actually mentions Uresta as one of the solutions available. Because we've been around for a while, we've really lucky to have really great clinical studies and data to support us. And it's really been over the last couple of years where we've really started to ramp up sales and awareness.
That's excellent. I'm excited to see where the company goes in the future. Is there any envision of expanding in other areas of women's health, or just keeping it predominantly focused on the pelvic floor issues?
So initially we were focused on Uresta. Obviously, it's a big market, 1 in 3 women, and very underserved. But what we've started to realize through talking to women is there are so many different needs. So we definitely have some ideas, and we're always open to hearing what women are looking for. But I think there's a lot of pelvic health needs that are really not addressed. It's definitely something we would like to do. I think it's probably 2 years away, but there's a couple things we've been working on more to complement like regular use of Uresta. We have considered making some tweaks to Uresta, just more from like a handle, as you talked about that, your experience removing it, and women kind of wanting that tampon string that doesn't. But we have some ideas in the pipeline on that as well.
Oh, good. I'm excited to see things unfold in the future. Yeah.
Thank you.
So are you internationally? Is it a global product right now, or is it strictly to the Canadian audience?
So right now, yes, strictly Canada. We do sell a little bit in the US. Like there is a number of physicians that do know about us in the US that are prescribing us. And we do have an online pharmacy, and we are fulfilling orders in the US, but our priority has been Canada, just because this is where we're direct to consumer. And I think that's where we've seen the most opportunity, and women are wanting better solutions. It's what I talked about earlier, right? They're Googling, they're educating themselves. And I think you're seeing women talk a lot more about it on social media. We would like to expand to Europe, probably more specifically the UK. In the short term, we actually had a urogynecologist who's been really supportive of us, that actually did our last clinical study. And I would say the UK is very progressive when it comes to pelvic health. Like a good example is when you have a baby in the UK, you're automatically referred to a pelvic floor physiotherapist. In Canada, it's usually more if you have complications, you need to be referred. And we actually get a lot of interest from the UK. So we get a lot of inbounds and emails, and it breaks my heart to tell women we're not currently available in the UK, but hopefully in the near future.
But could they order? Could they still order? No, they can't.
No, because every country has their own regulations.
Right.
So we'd have to apply and go through that process. And we're doing sort of something similar in the US, even just moving from prescription to over the counter. And it's something that it takes time.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But it's definitely the next market on our list.
Perfect. Well, with my listeners that I'm starting to reach into within the UK, and certainly many listeners in the United States, my goal, as you grow your company, my goal is to grow my podcast such that I can officially be one of the podcast promoters of your product. I believe in it, just like you, Lauren. You have your values statement, and this company spoke to your values as a woman. And I feel, as a menopause doula, as well with a podcast, this is one product that I want to put my stamp onto and back. And as we expand our listeners and the opportunities grow and it becomes more accessible worldwide, would love to explore a partnership or of some sort. And I mentioned that to you when I reached out. Can we get some kind of affiliation going on here? And you know what? I don't even care about the monetary benefits of it. I just want women to feel that they have a solution, something out there to give them a feeling of empowerment, and not to feel like their quality of life has to go downhill and interfere with their recreational. So I do want to close with asking you this question. I'm in a group of many women, both in Facebook groups and just in my community, that I see so many women advancing their careers or transitioning out of corporate or whatever they may have been doing, entrepreneurial, and moving into healthcare, women's health related companies or ideas or courses. What, as a CEO, what would your best advice be to women who want to venture into this area?
Well, I would say it's so inspiring to be, I mean, even to meet you and to meet all these other women who have, I think, a shared vision and the same values. And we all sort of vibe off of each other, right? And it's just really amazing to meet all these different women in women's health. And I think it just makes, if it's something you're really passionate about, it doesn't feel like a job and it feels really good to do something good, right? Receiving some of those testimonials that I've talked about on Instagram are super motivating. It makes every bad day, it erases every bad day you've ever had.
It's so true. Is that we're all in this together. It's like, okay, I'm not suffering alone. Someone else is experiencing this, or someone else has a great solution and a great testimony to back up and validate it's worth. So let's tell our listeners where they can find both the product, Uresta, and where they can find you on Instagram and website. Share your coordinates.
Yeah. So today we are mainly selling our product on our website. Whether you're in the US or Canada and you want to learn more, that's the best place to go to, which is www.uresta.com. We do also sell our product on Amazon Canada as well. And then I would definitely check out our Instagram page and on Facebook. So it's My Uresta on Instagram and then just Uresta on Facebook. And then if you even want to talk to customers or ask embarrassing questions in a safe space, our Facebook group is called the Uresta Insider Group.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Lauren. And thank you for giving so much of your time as a busy CEO, trying to juggle all your demands in your life. It's very greatly appreciated. And I know the listeners are certainly going to benefit from this. I've already have clients that are asking me about pelvic floor health, and I have directed them straight to your website. So this is wonderful. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Women-led and Canadian. Companies that are leaving a mark in women's health impress me, and that entrepreneurial spirit of Lauren's is driven from the fact that she backs this innovative product 100%. It's why she joined Uresta in the first place. And let me tell you, Lauren's dedication toward improving a condition that is often, too often, debilitating for women transcends in her social media posts, so you gotta check them out. But what I find even more special about Lauren, she was born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is where my lovely daughter, Jillian, was born more than 20 years ago, and where my bladder has never been the same since. Yep, urinary incontinence has plagued me ever since, and I have suffered too much. Giving up certain sports, stuffing my backpack, my bags, my desk drawer, and even the car with backup pads and liners and wipes and perfume sprays, and you know the drill, you name it. It's costing me a fortune, yeah. So I find it very apropos that one solution for my incontinence has an uncanny connection to the very place where it all began. I love it. I've tried it. It works. Uresta is, and these are their words, the ickless solution to bladder leaks, and it's clinically proven, reusable, washable, odor-free. So with Uresta, there's hope, there's help, and without medical intervention. How awesome is that? Their starter pack includes 3 sizes, and they're the most common sizes that fit 90% of women. But if you need to upsize or downsize, Uresta offers an additional size available free of charge if you request it within 30 days. And for my listeners, Lauren is offering a special 15% discount. Give it a try. There's nothing to lose, everything to gain. You can take advantage of this special discounted code using the code AllThingsMenopausal. It's valid until January 31st, 2024. Give Uresta a try, risk-free, and regain control. So good, so cool. Again, that code to apply at checkout is AllThingsMenopausal, and I'll post that in the show notes. You can also go directly to shop.uresta.com/discount/all things menopausal, and that code will automatically be applied at checkout. And to learn more about Lauren and Uresta, visit uresta.com. They are on Instagram, myuresta, TikTok, @myuresta. Join the Insider group on Facebook @Uresta Insider, and where you can learn more about women's experiences with Uresta and how it has changed their lives.
Do you need support through your menopause transition? A menopause doula can help. You can find me at mlcoaching.com. And help me help you by filling out a simple survey, which is linked in the show notes. Your input is greatly valued and will help in the design and creation of tools, courses, and other resources for my upcoming one-on-one and group coaching programs. Take the survey, it's linked in the show notes. Like, follow, share, subscribe. And if you are enjoying this podcast, I would love to hear from you. Consider leaving a review. Spreading the word will help broaden my audience reach and further impact more women as they experience a transition.